everyone, Barbara Rankin here with today's project for the ColourArte Video Creators Design Team. I found this leaf-shaped wooden panel in my local Target store, and I immediately knew I wanted to do an acrylic pour. The sides of the panel have glitter on them, but I'm not going to worry about that. It'll get covered by the paints. And here's one advantage to using these disposable aluminum roasting pans. They are flexible enough to enlarge along the sides so my leaf panel fits. I've decided to do a dirty pour, so I poured my white craft paint and water mixture into the cup first. I'll be using a black mixture as well, but I won't use very much black as it may be overwhelming with my other dark colors. All of my primary elements colors have been mixed with a pouring medium, water, and a few drops of silicone. So next I poured in Love Struck, then Rose Gold. Next is Harvest Soul. And lastly, Olive Vine. Now before I repeat this process, I want to add a tiny bit of the black craft paint mix into the cup. It sinks right to the bottom. Next, I repeated the same process as before, using the same colors in the same order. And now a little bit more of the black craft mix. This time I added the Love Struck to the cup, then a bit of the white craft paint mix. I just wanted to make sure it gets lightened up during the pour. It's all experimental, so just try different things. Next was the Rose Gold. Then I'll put more of the Harvest Soul. And this time I skipped the Olive Vine because I want to add it later to control its placement. Now while I'm waiting for the dirty pour to reach the bottom of the cup, I'm just simply pouring some of the black craft paint mixture around the cup and going towards the edges of the leaf panel, and I'm following along those lines again with the white craft paint mixture. I don't want a dark black background color. I want something more in the gray area. So mixing the black and the white together will give me that. As you can see, the white and black craft paint is preventing the pour colors from spreading easily, so I'm using a craft stick to help spread it to the edges. You can also use a spatula if you have one. Sometimes I may pick up some of the colors from the pour, swiping one way and then the other, while sometimes I may swipe the black and white paint over the colors. I was just letting the paint speak to me, and if one way worked better than the other, that is the way I went. You just got to roll with it. Now I'm going to add more colors into those black and white marbled edges I have, beginning with Love Struck. There's plenty of paint on the surface, which is already allowing my additional paints to move around. Now by waiting to use more of my green, I can control where it appears. I found that by blowing through a straw, you can get some very interesting paint formations, and they will look more organic and like they belong. Here I am just playing around by making puddles with the paints, almost like a mini dirty pour directly onto the canvas, to see if I can get anything interesting to develop. I think this is going to call for my straw. Before I get too far along, I want to make sure those glittery edges are covered with the paint. So I am picking up the paint droppings from the tray with my finger and applying it to the sides. I didn't have enough paint drippings to finish the sides, so I used my craft stick to place dribs and drabs of the paints along the edges to make it look more like it had dripped over the edge during the pouring process. Happily, when it comes to paint, there's always a way to fix things. As a last resort, I thought I'd use my torch to see if there were any cells left hiding, but sadly there were just a few that were nothing to write home about. But I must say I am really happy with this outcome. I will set it aside to dry and be back to show you what it looks like when it's dry and perhaps with a coat of varnish on it. Okay, it's been a good 24 hours since you last saw this, and the paint is completely dry. But before I finish this off with a clear sealer, I wanted to show you these shiny areas here. I noticed that as my paint was drying yesterday, some cracks were appearing. So I used my paint mixtures that I had left and poured it over the cracks. I used my straw to blow the edges out to blend them into the background. However, because I didn't also use any of the black or white craft paint, which is opaque, what I added remained transparent, which gave me the shiny look. It should disappear or blend right into the background when I add the clear sealer. I'm going to use my Vivid Clear Drying Ultra Enamel to seal the surface and bring out the depth and colors in the background. This is the same acrylic medium that is used in all the Vivid Ultra Metallics, less the pigment. Just pour a bit of the clear enamel over the panel and using a soft brush, spread it over the background. As you can see, it looks a bit milky at first, but it dries perfectly clear. Don't forget to add the sealer to the edges. And now, here is a quick glimpse of it after the sealer is dry. The reds are so dark and rich, and the clear enamel really brings out the depth of colors. And happily, I cannot see where I had to add those tiny extra pours to fill the cracks that had formed. I'm thinking about adding some botanicals or other embellishments before I hang it. I would love it if you would leave me a comment and let me know what kind of embellishments you would add. Don't go away, I have some close-ups of these beautiful colors. If you enjoyed today's project video, please give me a thumbs up, and I hope you will consider subscribing to my channel so you won't miss any future tutorials. As always, thanks for watching, and always take time to play.